Hi everyone, what's up? Welcome if you're new here. You picked a good thumbnail to click on because in this video I share something that is of high consequence for your life. And that is the question, can our mindset, the way that we think about something, actually influence the biological response of our body? You've probably experienced before that the way you look into the world determines how you feel about things. It determines the choices you make. It determines how motivated you are and what you actually end up doing in the end. This is probably something that isn't totally new to you. But does it only influence our feelings, or can our mindset actually influence the objectively measurable biology of our bodies? And first of all, let's ask ourselves, what is a mindset? A mindset is a way of looking at something. We are constantly surrounded by so much information in this world. And if our brain would show us all of this information without ever sorting something out, we would be hopelessly overburdened by all these details. So what our brain does is it simplifies the world. It draws our attention towards specific aspects of the world. It reduces information, and in this way makes the world manageable for ourselves. And this, of course, has the advantage of the world being manageable and us saving resources. However, it also comes with a cost, and that is that we are, so to say, pre-programmed for the world. And this program that we have, with which we are looking into the world, determines also the way we behave in it and the way our bodies react. So the pre-settings that our brain has are actually influencing our life quite a lot. And one of the main jobs that psychology has is to actually analyze the pre-settings that our brains have and to see when they are beneficial and when they might be less helpful. And it helps us to be aware of these pre-settings so that we can make better choices in our life. One example for a typical pre-setting that we have is social proof. Just because everyone else is doing something, we tend to also do it. It's proof for us that something is valuable if everyone else around us is doing it. So this pre-setting is called social proof, and I'll actually be talking more about that in my next video. So make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss that. It'll be really interesting. And the more we become aware of the pre-settings, prejudices, and biases that a typical human brain is equipped with, the better, because then we can just navigate through life better and not end up somewhere we never wanted to go. So granted that prejudices, pre-settings, and biases of the brain are something that are worthwhile to know about and then take into account when we think and decide and act, but how important is it really? Isn't it something that just influences our motivation and feelings a bit, or is it something that can actually influence objectively measurable reality? And that's the question that Crum and her colleagues looked into in a very interesting study. She wanted to collect more science facts about exactly this question. How much can our mindset actually influence the biology of our body? And she came up with a very creative setting for this. The study started with a group of people that were hungry. They came to the research lab in the mornings and hadn't eaten anything throughout the whole night and that morning, so they were ready to eat something. The participants of the study were told that the purpose of the study was to measure the effect on the body of two different types of milkshakes that were of different compositions, and just to see how they tasted. And the first thing that was done was that their hunger hormone Ghrelin was measured. This hormone rises when we haven't eaten something in a while and sends signals to the brain that look for food. It increases our appetite and this feeling of hunger. And then when we eat something, it drops again. And this is in proportion to how much we eat. So if we eat an apple, it'll drop less. We will stay hungrier rather than if we eat a piece of cheesecake. After the levels of their hunger hormone had been assessed, the participants were shown the milkshakes that they would be drinking. And they actually came in 2 rounds. And in the first round, they had a different milkshake than in the second round. And some of them started with milkshake number 1, and the other half started with milkshake number 2 in the first round. And after they had looked at the milkshake, their hunger hormone was measured again to see how much it changed in anticipation of drinking this milkshake. Then they drank the milkshake, and their hunger hormone was assessed again to see how much it had fallen after the consumption of the milkshake. And one of the milkshakes was called Sensi Shake. The label looked something like this. It said that it is guilt-free satisfaction with 0% fat, 0 added sugar, and 140 calories. And the other milkshake looked something like this. And there it was written, indulgence, decadence you deserve. It was 640 calories, 56 grams of sugar, and 300 grams of fat. So the people had very different mindsets about what they were drinking. First, they thought they were drinking something that is guilt-free satisfaction, and the second time they thought they were drinking decadence they deserved. In actuality, the milkshakes were exactly the same. So the only thing that was different about these milkshakes was their labels. The ingredients were totally the same milkshake. What is interesting is that the body didn't react to the milkshake as if it was the same milkshake. It actually reacted according to the label of the milkshake. This means the body reacted according to the mindset the participants had about what they were drinking, not according to what was actually inside the milkshake. You can see what this looked like here. You can see the 2 groups. The blue group is the indulgence group, and the red group was the Sensi Shake group. And you can see that in the indulgence version of the experiment, the ghrelin first rose higher because it was sending to the brain that something big is coming, and then it dropped 3 times as much as in the Sensi Shake condition, where people thought that this won't be giving me so much energy, it's just a Sensi Shake. And then the ghrelin also didn't drop as much after the consumption. I just find this mind-blowing to think about the fact that the exact same milkshake actually caused a different reaction in the biological response of our body just because of the mindset and the expectation that we had about what we are drinking. Leah Crum and her colleagues are a lot in health psychology and food consumption. How do labels influence our mindset and how we eat, and how this changes our metabolism? So there's a lot that can be learned from studies like this about diet, food, mindset, etc. But on a more general level even, this study shows that it's really not only the facts, the objective facts, but the way we think about these facts that influence the way our bodies react in situations. This study and similar studies show that our minds are not passive observers, as we may sometimes think, but active designers that shape the picture we have of what is going on every single moment, and in this way influence our experience of life. Similar studies have found that if I go through an experience thinking that this is unhealthy stress, my body will actually react differently than if I think this is a challenge that makes me stronger. If I have the mindset that this is unhealthy stress, my health will be affected more negatively, so will my motivation, and my emotional experience of the situation will also be worse. So this is a very big handle that we have in life. How do I frame what is going on? Is it unhealthy stress, or is it a challenge that will make me stronger? Now, what does this mean on a very practical level? Firstly, our mindsets are shaped by our upbringing and culture. These are 2 very strong influences on our mindset that teach us what it means to be beautiful, what it means to be successful, what it means to be a real man or a real woman, how we talk to ourselves. And unfortunately, the messages that our culture sends are not always beneficial. So one thing that you can do is to be more aware of the messages that culture is sending through advertisement, through movies, TV shows, books, whatever the people around you are saying. What are the messages that you are getting? And to know that many of these messages are beliefs that can be questioned, reappraised, and you don't have to automatically accept them as your truth, but to always be aware that you have your own mind to do just that. Reappraise and see what is beneficial and what you would have to reappraise for yourself. The second thing that you can do is to be less in an I told you so or I knew it all along mode. Because this is actually what strengthens these biases, prejudices, and presettings of the brain. It's more helpful to be open to whatever's going to happen. Because in this way, it's less likely that you will influence situations in a way that ends up being detrimental for you. You may even encourage positive effects by being hopeful or by being a realistic optimist. By the way, I have a video on my channel that deals with this question of how our mindset can actually influence all kinds of relationships that we have. I'll link it up here. And last but not least, know that it doesn't take much to change your mindset. You can shift your mindset in minutes, sometimes even seconds, and immediately feel the benefit of that. For example, recently I had a week that was not very productive. And at the end of the week, I started thinking about it and thought to myself, oh, well, that didn't go that well. But then I realized that actually, because it hadn't been that productive, it had prompted me to question my strategy and efficiency. And I came up with new ideas that I wanted to try out to increase my productivity and efficiency in the week after that. And then I realized, well, actually, in that way, the week wasn't bad. It was actually very helpful. And immediately I felt grounded, peaceful, and optimistic. So all in all, become more aware of the power of mindsets, become more aware of your own individual mindsets, and when they are beneficial to you and when they are not. And then take action. Leave a thumbs up if you found this video helpful, and take good care of yourself.